my wife, she's known ever since she was a child, like she wants to be a doctor. And now that she's
Mm.
actually in medical school and training, and she knows she wants to be a surgeon, and every day she comes home and she's like, best day of my life. Like I had so much fun. And like, that's the first time I've ever encountered somebody who's actually known what they wanted to do and then actualized that, or is in the process of actualizing that and been fulfilled by it in the same degree. And so you always hear like, you can be anything you want, you do what you love, you never work a day in your life, all this good stuff. And then the reality is it's so hard to find. And if you feel like, if you say like, well, this is good enough, like I can do this and then do other stuff outside my job, it feels like you're quote unquote maybe settling to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sort of the pushback that the first book does. It's
Yeah.
making the case that some people do what they love for work, others do what they have to so they can do what they love when they're not working, and
Mm,
neither is more noble. And I think particularly in the last 20 or so years, there's been this narrative that's been pushed about the need to follow your passion or the need to do
mm-hmm,
what you love, and if you haven't found what you love, you keep searching. I think that's great if you can get it, and some people have a clear sense of their passion or know what they love, and others, their job is more of a means to an end. And I think the narrative around following your passion creates outsized expectations and creates a lot of room for disappointment if people feel
mm,
like they haven't found their one true calling. And certainly a job can be a source of identity, can be a source of community, or help you self-actualize, or a source of
mm-hmm,
purpose, but it need not be the only source. And I wrote that first book because I wanted to help others, of my generation and younger in particular, understand that the most important thing that a job gives you is enough money to pay for the life that you want to live. And certainly it can give you more than that. But thinking about the transactional nature of work, the exchange of your time and your energy for a paycheck, can be incredibly freeing in a world that tells you that you must do what you love, or you must follow your passion, or if you haven't found it yet, you should keep searching. And so in many ways, it was a corrective. But if you just read the title, The Good Enough Job, you might think it's like a slacker manifesto, or it's
mm-hmm,
like a book in favor of settling. It's not exactly that. What I define as a good enough job is a job that allows you to be the type of person that you want to be. And so for some person, maybe that's a job that pays a certain wage, or a job that has a certain title, or has a certain type of impact. For someone
mm,
else, maybe it's a job that lets them get off at a certain hour so they can pick up their kids from school, or lets them host their podcast or go on that bike ride that is the main source of passion or identity in their life.
mm-hmm.
And rather than prescribe one size fits all solutions that everyone should do what they love or everyone should follow their passion, I tried to make a more balanced case about the value of
Mm.
diversifying who we are and where we source meaning.
It's interesting. The added pressure that comes from like, I need to find my passion is crazy. Like I remember being in like high school and just being like, so I don't know what I want to do. I don't know. Like I just got to do this, but I feel like, oh, because I don't know, I'm behind. And then you get to college and then you start working and you still feel like you're behind. And it's just like this constant thing in your back of your head where you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing now, but don't get too comfortable because this isn't the passion yet. And so I think the book is extremely important in saying like, this is allows you, like, your work isn't your identity. It doesn't have to be your passion. It can be the means to doing your passion outside of work.
Totally. And, there isn't anything wrong with doing what you love, or your work being a
Yeah.
source of passion or a source of meaning or a source of community. I think so many people during the pandemic in particular learned that if you're over indexing on just one facet of who you are, it's a very risky proposition.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's, your friend that really thought that they were a Googler and like put all of their identity eggs in the basket of their employer only to be laid off or furloughed, or your friend who had all of their self-worth tied to their performance at their job. And it's a risky proposition. It's extremely fragile. And so much as a investor benefits from diversifying the stocks in their portfolio, we too benefit from diversifying the sources of meaning and identity in our lives.
Mm.
And so that was the argument of the first book about the sort of value of sourcing meaning and purpose and identity from different facets of your life. But that same argument could be made for facing uncertainty. And one of the best things that you can do in the face of an uncertain world is to not be too far in one direction or overextended or hitching your entire identity to a job title or one facet of who you are, but actually building that sort of well-rounded, resilient person who can adapt and change. I think it
Mhm.
was James Clear said something like, the most important tool in the face of an uncertain world is not any strategic plan, but a mindset that can be adaptable in the face of uncertainty. And in many ways, this book is the book length argument for that quote.